There comes a moment in every life where the world falls silent, a stillness that echoes louder than thunder, a pause between breaths, a split second when you lock eyes with your reflection and ask the question that changes everything. Who am I going to become? Not who the world expects, not who your past defines, not who your fears protect, but who your soul demands. This is not the moment for excuses. This is not the moment for permission. This is the moment when you decide to win. And from that decision forward, it must be non-negotiable. Because the universe does not respond to lukewarm wishes. It bends to the will of those who demand greatness, who command it with every thought, every breath, every action, not someday, not when it's convenient, but now. There was a man once, a skinny kid from Kentucky, born into dirt floors, hunger, and obscurity. Abraham Lincoln, every odds stacked against him. No formal education, no riches, no mentors, only a fire, a decision, to matter, to rise, to forge something greater than circumstance. He decided, and when he did, the world had no choice but to follow. That is the power of decision. It's not made in your head, it's made in your spirit. And when you decide to win, to really win, you stop entertaining failure as an option. You stop negotiating with your weakness. You stop worshiping distractions. You stare your demons in the eye and say, "You don't run this anymore. I do." And in that moment, the tides turn. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You become the kind of person who doesn't need external motivation. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for signs. You are the sign. You are the storm. You are the one who walks into uncertainty with certainty in your chest, because you've already chosen the outcome. Victory is no longer a possibility. It's a promise. People talk about mindset like it's a gimmick, a buzzword, something you fix with a morning routine and a vision board. But mindset isn't a quote on a wall. It's a war inside your skull. It's the battlefield where every limiting belief, every childhood wound, every betrayal, every failure, every voice that told you you're not enough, gathers to riot. And you stand in the middle of that chaos and choose clarity. You choose strength. You choose responsibility. You choose to rewire your thoughts like an inventor rewires a machine. That's what Edison did. 10,000 times his ideas failed. Not because they were wrong, but because the world wasn't ready for his level of commitment. And he didn't flinch, because his mindset was anchored. He didn't hope. He decided. You don't stumble into success. You build it brick by brick, thought by thought, day by day, in the dark when no one is clapping. You reprogram yourself from the inside out. Every time you say, "I can't," a piece of your power dies. Every time you say, "I must," a new muscle is born. The mind is clay. It molds to repetition. Feed it hesitation, and it will serve you doubt. Feed it vision, and it will become your compass. But it's your responsibility to program the map. And make no mistake, the mind obeys the bold. You want belief? Then act like someone who believes. Belief is not passive. It's not soft. It's not comfortable. Belief is violent in its certainty. It is audacious. It's what drove Carnegie from a factory floor to building an empire of steel. It's what took Oprah from a dirt-poor Mississippi girl to a global voice of power. Not by luck, not by chance, but by belief so deep it became oxygen. They didn't wait to see the finish line to start running. They ran because they believed it was there, even if the path was hidden in fog, even if the crowd was silent, even if the world laughed. Belief is a decision, not a result. And when you walk like it, speak like it, live like it, your world shifts. Not because the rules change, but because you stop asking for permission to play big. So stop whispering dreams into pillows. Speak them into existence with conviction. Walk into rooms like your name is already etched in history, because it will be if you decide it is. Vision is not imagination. Vision is knowing, not wishing. Knowing, with every cell, with every breath. It is the blueprint that reality follows, the seed from which destiny grows. But here's the thing. Most people don't lack vision. They lack permission. Permission to want more. Permission to see further than their current circumstance. Permission to build what others say is impossible. But you? If you're still listening, you're not most people. You are the anomaly. The one who sees cities before the bricks are laid. The one who feels wealth before the bank account shows it. The one who knows they're destined to lead, to build, to shift the planet in some radical way, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. Disney was fired from a newspaper for having no imagination. Ford was laughed at for building a car when people trusted horses. Wright brothers were mocked for believing man could fly. But they saw what others couldn't, and they believed long enough to make it real. That's vision, and it starts inside you, not in strategy, not in spreadsheets, not in approval, but in silence, when you close your eyes and see it before anyone else does. And once you see it, you don't need the world's validation. You don't even need applause. You only need the decision, this will be real. And once you decide, that vision is no longer a fantasy. It becomes your GPS, your North Star, your non-negotiable future. And from that moment, the universe starts to rearrange itself, quietly, invisibly, but undeniably. Because a person who walks with vision is no longer pushed by life. They pull it forward. Like gravity bends to mass, life bends to purpose. And purpose, real purpose, is not found. It's forged in fire, in struggle, in nights where sleep is a stranger and the only thing keeping you breathing is the whisper. You were born for more than this. Purpose doesn't come from comfort. It comes from collision, when your pain crashes into your potential and you finally say, no more wasting time, no more dimming the flame, no more playing at the level of survival when you were built for legacy. You think Gandhi moved millions because he was loud? No, he was clear. Clear on what he stood for. Clear on what he refused to tolerate. Clear on the world he demanded to exist. Clarity cuts deeper than confidence. When you are clear on your purpose, you become undeniable. Your voice may shake, your knees may buckle, but your soul will not waver. And clarity is a choice. Purpose is a decision. It's choosing to step forward while everyone else waits. It's choosing impact over attention. It's choosing legacy over comfort. And once that decision is made, everything else aligns. Distractions lose their grip. Critics lose their volume. Fear loses its venom. Because you've traded comfort for conviction. And conviction, that is where the discipline is born. Discipline is not a punishment. It's not about grinding until you collapse. It's about aligning your habits with your highest self. It's the bridge between the man you are and the legend you're becoming. Most people treat discipline like a burden. Winners treat it like a weapon. Wake up early? Non-negotiable. Say no to distractions? Non-negotiable. Push through when you're tired, uninspired, and unseen? Non-negotiable, because discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about who you are. When Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, he didn't crawl off the court. He stood, limped, and shot his free throws. Because champions don't negotiate with pain. They rise with it. They use it. Every rep, every page, every uncomfortable choice is a vote for the future version of yourself. And eventually, those votes count. Discipline is how dreams walk off paper and into the world, not in fireworks, in patterns. You show me a person who owns their morning, who guards their focus, who keeps their word to themselves, and I'll show you a person who wins. Not sometimes. Every damn time. Because when action becomes identity, success becomes inevitable. But let's talk about action, not busy work, not the illusion of effort, real action. The kind of action that costs something, the kind that makes your stomach drop, the kind that flips a switch inside and tells the universe, I'm serious now. Most people wait for the feeling, the motivation, the perfect moment. You don't. You move because movement is your language. You've decided to win, and that decision demands motion. Action creates evidence. Evidence creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum rewrites your story. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. Daily, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You think greatness is glamorous? You think empires are built in Instagram captions? No. They're built in the silence of 4 a.m. decisions, in showing up when no one's watching, in pushing when you're exhausted, in doing the thing even when you don't feel like it, because you made it non-negotiable. That's how mountains are moved. Not in leaps, in footsteps, one at a time, over and over, until the summit bows to your will. And in the midst of all this fire, all this building, you stop and you breathe. Because the secret weapon that most forget is gratitude. Not as a weakness, as a weapon. Gratitude turns pressure into power. It takes your struggle and gives it meaning. It reminds you that you are not owed anything, and yet, here you are, capable of everything. You're not broken. You're being built. Every failure is fuel. Every setback is a setup. Every challenge is a gift with sharp edges, and you have the courage to unwrap it. Gratitude is how you keep your heart soft while your will stays steel. It's what separates the tyrants from the legends, the bitter from the bold, the insecure from the invincible. Be grateful, not just for what you have, but for who you are becoming. And when you live like that, nothing can stop you. Because life doesn't happen to you anymore. It happens through you. And when life begins to flow through you, truly through you, you become unstoppable. Not because the world gets easier, but because you've become bigger than every obstacle in it. You don't bend to storms. You command them. You don't shrink in the face of failure. You expand in its presence. You don't chase success. You attract it because you've become the kind of person success is magnetized to. And that's where adaptability enters. Not the kind that just survives, but the kind that dominates under pressure. Because life will test you. It will twist you, break your plans, throw punches you never saw coming. And in those moments, the weak beg for mercy. But the decided adjust their crown. They pivot without panic. They adapt without apology. They evolve in real time, because they already knew the road wouldn't be easy. Darwin didn't say the strongest survive, he said the most adaptable do. So if the strategy fails, good. Rethink it. If the door slams shut, excellent. Build a new one. If no one believes in you, perfect. Believe harder. You weren't built to follow maps. You were built to make them. Flexibility is not weakness. It's warfare. And those who bend with the wind don't break when it blows. But no matter how adaptable you become, the world will still throw punches. It's not a question of if, it's when. The betrayal, the bankruptcy, the illness, the loss, the failure that steals your breath. In those moments, everything you've built, the mindset, the belief, the purpose, the discipline, gets tested in fire. And that's where resilience is born. Not in victories, in scars. It's easy to be confident when things are going well. It's easy to show up when the sun is shining. But who are you when it all collapses? Who are you when no one shows up for you? When your back hits the wall and every voice in your head says, "Stay down." That's when the winners rise, not because they feel strong, but because they refuse to stay weak. They rise through the pain, not around it. They absorb the lesson, not avoid it. They learn to breathe underwater while others drown in shallow pools. Resilience isn't pretty. It's gritty. It's silent. It's slow. But it's the engine that separates the dreamers from the doers. You think Lincoln didn't cry in private? You think Oprah didn't break under the pressure? You think every titan didn't have a moment where they thought, maybe I'm not cut out for this? Of course they did, but they kept going. Not because it was easy, but because they had already decided, I win, no matter what. And if you want to become truly unstoppable, there's one more muscle you must develop: the hunger to learn. Because no matter how powerful you become, the game is always evolving. The world doesn't care about what you did yesterday. It wants to know who you're becoming today. Lifelong learners are not students. They are architects of expansion. They are humble enough to ask questions, bold enough to admit they don't know it all, and relentless enough to absorb every insight and use it as fuel. When you stop learning, you start dying. Period. Carnegie read daily. Rockefeller studied markets obsessively. Bezos still reads hours a day. Success leaves clues, and the sharpest minds never stop sharpening. You want to be great? Study greatness. Every day, read the biographies, study the failures, analyze the patterns, model the best, and then surpass them. Because no information is above you, no strategy is out of reach. The only limit is your willingness to absorb and apply. Knowledge is power, but only when it's used. And if you're learning while everyone else is coasting, you won't just win. You'll leave them wondering how you did it. The answer? You decided. Then you learned fast enough to dominate.